Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And guys, we have an awesome show for you guys today. We are going to be talking about all the news and notes that went around the NFL this year. A lot of COVID stuff to talk about. The huge Jamal Adams trade, we're going to dive into that. Then we're going to talk about a couple fantasy football profiles that we have for you guys today. And then today we are doing the Big Ten preview, college football preview. Last week we did the SEC. This week we are doing Big Ten. So we are going to talk about every single team in the Big Ten. And then we're going to close out with something a little bit different. We're going to talk about top fives. We're actually going to talk about top tens, but we didn't make our own. We're really excited to talk about that with y'all today. Wide receiver, top 10 wide receivers. We're going to talk about that at the end of the show. Let's get started, man. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
You good?
While we're mentioning it, too, this is our 52nd episode. It is our year anniversary.
Yes.
So confetti, balloons, yay, party time. And we also have a Saquon. We are doing this this is the last pod.
This is the last pod
So
we're
this is
doing.
the last pod. It will go on Apple Podcasts. It will go on Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff. To get entered into the Saquon Barkley contest, you have to subscribe to us on YouTube, like it, leave a comment, say I'm here for the jersey. Apple Podcasts, 5-star review, leave a comment, here for the jersey. You can enter twice by doing the YouTube and the Apple Podcast. So We're ready to give it away. There's a few names in there for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of names. Yeah. For sure. So we're definitely gonna give that away. We're really excited about that. I'm super excited to send that out. I can't wait. All right, so Jamal Adams,
Yes.
biggest news of the week, gets traded. We've been talking about this it seems like all off season.
Before draft.
Yeah, easily. Jamal Adams, where's he going to go? First round, or who's going to take him? What's he going to go for? Well, we were thinking Cowboys. Doesn't end up being the Cowboys. He gets sent to the Seahawks for 2 first-round picks, a 2021 third-round pick, safety Bradley McDougall, who was the Seahawks starting safety. He's not a terrible player by any means, and then a 2020 fourth-round pick. That's what the Seahawks gave up for. They gave 2 first, a third, and Bradley McDougall for Jamal Adams and a 2022 fourth-round pick. What are your immediate thoughts?
Man, I'll say it. I think the New York Jets got a slam dunk here.
Oh, really?
I do. Now, I think this is a win-win on both sides at the end of the day because Seattle, they are in a Super Bowl push mentality. They want to get the best talent that they can and kind of get that legion of boom going again. And there's nobody else. The way that Pete Carroll was able to use Cam Chancellor in his defense, Jamal Adams fits right in there with that. So Seattle fans, I'm not saying you lost. I'm just saying for the Jets to be able to get this big of a haul for a guy who came out on Twitter. I mean, I said that the Vikings won their deal with 1 first-round pick from Buffalo, and Jamal Adams went above and beyond anything Stephon ever did on Twitter, criticizing management, talking about how bad he wanted out of there. You were able to get 2 first-round picks for a guy who wanted nothing to do with you?
Yeah.
It's a win.
No, it's a huge win. And Jamal Adams does become the 4th player in recent memory that got traded for 2 first-round picks. Joins the Khalil Mack, Laramie Tunsil, and Jalen Ramsey
It's
club.
a new standard, isn't it?
Jalen Ramsey here. I'm wearing the jersey. That it is the new standard. You're absolutely right. If you want to trade for a guy who's on their first deal, who's a superstar, young guy who's going to be, you have to give up 2 first-round picks.
Elite young superstars for 2 firsts, and it doesn't sound like that bad of a price tag, depending.
It doesn't, especially when you're a team that is going to be, drafting in the late 20s. That's all these teams that made those deals. That didn't work out for the Bears. The Bears kind of fell off a cliff, but when they made that trade, they expected to be drafting in the late 20s the next couple of years for Khalil Mack, and then obviously the Houston Texans made the trade for Laramie Tunsil, and then obviously last year.
Same for Seattle. Seattle's going to be 20th at best.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. That was my first instinct, was just to be surprised that a team would give up that much. First for safety, which we talked about on this pod. A safety is the running back of the defense in terms of value. Obviously, the safeties are very important. They're super important for the Seattle scheme specifically, but they're easy to come by. You can find them in mid-rounds draft. Like I said, Bradley McDougall was a fine safety, and they got him really cheap on free agency. It just happens that way.
Compare the other names that go alongside that 2 first-round pick mentality. Khalil Mack, edge rusher. You got to have an edge if you want to build your defense. Laramie Tunsil, left tackle. It is the stud of your offensive line. Jalen Ramsey, star cornerback. Each of these positional values far outweighs what your safety does on defense. It just goes to show how good Jamal Adams is.
Look, and that's the other part of this. Jamal Adams is maybe a top 5, top 10 defensive player in the league. I will say that. He's easily the best safety. I've kind of come around. I've gotten to the point where over the past month or two, I've gone back and just watched a little bit of Jamal Adams here and there, watched a couple of videos on YouTube about him, and I just come away and just, I'm blown away with the way the Jets used him. I don't think I realized that throughout the season. They used him in so many different ways. They put him in pretty much every single position on defense, and he succeeded, obviously, other than the defensive line. And I think the Seahawks can do very similar things. Obviously, their base formation is going to keep him, in the box and doing a lot of things like that. The Seahawks are going to be really, really good with Jamal Adams. They're gonna use him the same way they used Earl Thomas, and I'm excited to see it. Was it a little bit of too much? Was the value there? From a purely value standpoint, I think you're right. Yeah, the value wasn't there for the Seahawks. I mean, they are getting a great player. Hopefully, that can put them over the hump to.
Yeah, I mean, if you get a Super Bowl because of this.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'll eat my words for sure. I think it's possible. As far as value for a player, a safety. It's not there. The value's not there for me. But hopefully, the Seahawks are going to do it. I'm amazed that Joe Douglas was able to get this trade. Like you said, I'm kind of piggybacking on what you said. The amount of crap that came from the Jets, the amount of crap that came from Jamal Adams, like the ongoing drama that came from all of this, the fact that they were able to turn all that into 2 firsts and a third, that's
for
awesome.
Their safety. It's an absolute win. Now, I have seen a lot of stuff too as to why Seattle may have done this. Jamal Adams was the best at being able to defend these top 5 physical tight ends that we see in the league. Look at Gronk. He had to do that twice a year in the Jets. He has Kittle now coming at him twice a year at Seattle.
Yeah.
And when you go back to these Seattle 49ers games, there's a lot of hard yards that are grinded out over the middle through George Kittle.
Yeah.
And if you have Jamal Adams who can straight up line, he's one of the only guys who can go up against him.
Yeah. No.
So, that might have been another thing to it. It also might sway Jadeveon Clowney. I've seen stuff saying
he's not going to the Seahawks. I wouldn't think.
There's a chance.
Oh, you think it goes the other way?
Yes, I've seen stuff saying that it goes the other way, and that this really would show Jadeveon that they are trying to build a defense, and it's more than just, if he's going to go somewhere for a year, go get a Lombardi, come back, come reload, and do. I don't know how they would work out the financial stance on that, because you'd think that they got to pay Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
But then again, you don't have to do that till the end of the year.
Yeah, and you can offer a restructure where you give Jamal Adams a little bit of a raise this year, but still nothing crazy.
But you can make that work in the books.
And then and then give him the big payday next year. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I would have thought that this means that they're out on the Clowney deal.
That was my immediate thought. But then I saw some people talking about it, and I was like, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad point that they could use it to lure Clowney in for one more year. Hey, try and get Super Bowl champions make a lot more money than non-Super Bowl champions.
Yep.
That's a good one. All right, so let's put a bow on this. What does this mean for the Jets? What does this mean for the Jets franchise? Where are they going? Huh?
It's promising. It really
you
is.
like it?
I like it.
Okay.
The 2 firsts as a whole, I like the 2 firsts. Last year, I would say, was just kind of botched as is, with Sam Darnold getting sick for the first 6-7 games, whatever that was. Because this is a really important year for him. You really get to see what he's made of, and I'm hoping that it is what he looked like he could have been. So if you have your quarterback fixed, I think you have Le'Veon. You need to start building up your offensive line, get some more receiver weapons in there, and you can start to have a legitimate team.
Yeah. Man, I don't know.
Defensively, they're very far away.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the other end of that. I'm not going to lie to you. I think the Jets are just a little bit of a dumpster fire. I really feel bad for Sam Darnold. I feel like he's in the second worst position of all the quarterbacks in this draft. Obviously, nobody had a worse take than the Rosen issue that he had to go through.
Yeah.
But he's just. You could be in Cleveland right now in a pretty good situation with a great offense and a coach that seems like he's going to be able to turn it around. I'm excited for Cleveland Browns this year. You could be in Buffalo right now where.
I'm not excited for the Jets. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I'm just saying for specifically for Darnold, I feel like he's gotten a rotten end of the deal, and that's what happens with these quarterbacks that go in the front top 10. You go to the wrong team, it doesn't look good. I'm not excited for the future. I'm not going to lie to you.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not. Le'Veon Bell, they paid a lot of money to Le'Veon Bell. We didn't see a lot from him. I do not believe in Gase, the player manager. I think he is a good X's and O's coach, and I think that's why he's been able to get a head coaching job twice now. But he has just not handled. He doesn't have personal skills. So for whatever reason, whatever it is, he doesn't have that thing where he can just talk to people one-on-one. I mean, that's so important, and you would think that would be the easier part of the job, at least to me. I would think handling players would be the easy part, and then the X's and O's would be tough. For him, I guess it's the other way around. And then Joe Douglas, I mean, the fact that he came out and said that he never offered Jamal Adams a deal, he kind of backtracked on a lot of things that he said throughout the offseason. I mean, look, it's awesome they got this deal. It's awesome they were able to turn him into 2 firsts and a third. Overall, though, I'm not excited for what the Jets have been doing. I'm not excited for what they're going to do in the future.
Well, they're going to be bad this year. I mean, I would say
they're going to be a dumpster fire.
They're going to be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
So with that top, I saw a mock, and they got Rondale Moore with the Seattle pick at 22, and then they got Trevor Lawrence with the 2nd pick.
Yeah.
It's very likely.
Yeah, something like that could happen. I think it's a I get what you're saying.
It's so far ahead, and I don't know whether to buy in or buy out of Sam Darnold, but if you're able to get a haul for this guy who wanted out anyways, I mean, you go one more year and you lose him for nothing?
No,
then it's a lot worse for the Jets.
You're absolutely right.
Then it's a lot worse.
Okay, so last thing we got to talk about, does this mean, do you think the Seahawks are going to make that jump into the Super Bowl champion type of team? Is this what they needed?
Without Jamal Adams, they were already kind of in that. I mean, they're in the
conversation. Yeah,
they're an elite team. Does getting a safety sell me on the fact that they were going to do anything more than they already could have done? No, because I think that potential was already there. I really do. Gotcha. I don't know if Jamal Adams is going to swing those wins in your other way. Like I said, it will really help you whenever it comes to the 49ers, whenever you got to play them, because I know his matchup against the tight end, he can literally lock them down.
Yeah.
So there's a chance, yeah. I mean, if it's the difference in them, like last year, going 11-5 with the 49ers, and then maybe they can take the 1 seed.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right.
Everything.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If this trade is the difference between that 4th down play for the 49ers late in the game. What
if that gets you home field?
Yeah, I mean that could be a big
difference.
What do you think? I do think it swings the pendulum in their favor. I don't know if I think it's enough to make them a Super Bowl champion at this point. I'm actually I'm questioning their run game. I'm questioning the way they're going to play football on the offensive side of the ball. I think their defense is going to be really good. Obviously, it's going to be a lot better now. So as far as the Seahawks in general, I think they're still going to be in the playoffs. I think they're still going to be a pain in the ass for a lot of teams. I could just see them doing what they've done a lot in the past 3 or 4 years, is lose in the first or second round of the playoffs. I think that's probably where I'd expect them to end up. So no, I guess the answer to that is no. They don't. It doesn't put them over the hump. But I mean, I think it is a step in the right direction.
I think they line up against anyone in the NFC, and it's a coin flip.
Yeah,
it would be Seattle, Tampa, Green Bay.
Yeah.
Dallas. I mean, I think
Saints.
they're right up there with all those guys. Yeah.
You think they're with the Saints and your Kamara?
Yeah, I think they're pretty close to it.
Gotcha.
Saints are going to lose Kamara too.
Are they?
I don't think they're going to play their cards right. I think Kamara's going to go get paid somewhere else.
Fair enough. You might. All right, we will move on. Big news around the NFL are the opt-outs, right? This is happening right now. Like you and I, we both woke up to 20 notifications of players that are opting out. So as of recording this is like 1:00 on a Tuesday. This video will post on Thursday. Yeah, on Thursday night. So this information is already bad when you're seeing it. So I do apologize. But I'm going to give you everything we have, and then we'll kind of try and project forward as best we can. All right. So the first player to opt out was guard for the Chiefs, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. It was their starting guard, and he's actually he's a doctor. He's a licensed doctor in Canada. I remember a couple of years ago, the NFL ruled that he couldn't have MD on his jersey, and I thought that was kind of messed up. But he was the first player to opt out. And then there was just a slew of other players. Big names, Star Lutilati, the defensive tackle for the Bills, Patrick Chung, Eddie Goldman, Dante Hightower. I mean, big names.
Patriots right there.
Dante Hightower and Patrick Chung are huge losses. The Patriots have 6 guys that have opted out right now, and that could grow. I mean, they could easily grow. Some stars on defense.
Freed up $22 million in cap space, though.
Did it?
Which means Jadeveon.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Serious, I've seen it linked,
That's interesting. But all in all, right now, as of recording this, there are 24 players, and I have my phone right here waiting for notifications on any more. Don't have any anymore right now. There are 24 players that have opted out. 6 of them are New England Patriots, like I said. Just some context for opt-out, and then we can kind of talk about everything. I want to give this context for people. Players who opt out will resume their contract next year. They will not lose anything. The only thing that really really changes. They get $150,000 stipend, which is taken from their paycheck that will come next year. So like Dante Hightower, I don't know his exact contract, but he will get $150,000 and then resume his contract next year. That's going to be the same for everybody. The only time that will change is if there is a high risk opt out. So if you have pre-existing medical conditions that makes COVID even more dangerous to you personally, you will get an accrued season. All right. So it will go towards free agency and all benefits and minimum salary credits for a credited season. All right. So you'll get a little bit more money, and then you'll be eligible for a $350,000 stipend that will not constitute a salary advance, meaning the NFL will essentially give you $350,000 of your contract.
You think players are wanting more?
No, I mean, this was already agreed upon. This is one of the few times that I feel like the NFLPA beat the owners in terms of negotiations.
Your safety is important, and you should get paid for something at least. For something that's not in your hands.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't have a problem with players, opting out. If you choose not to work, most places aren't going to pay you at all. The NFL is going to give you $150,000. Not the worst deal. I'm not sitting here crying for the players. I'm crying for football because I don't know how many players we're gonna lose.
Vikings lost Michael Pierce today, and we just signed him on the defensive line.
So that makes it 25, doesn't it?
Marquise Goodwin.
Marquise Goodwin just happened. Yeah, there's a lot of names, man, and it's gonna add up. What do you think?
I really think it goes back to the thing that you said about the asterisk. I mean, what if bear with me, Ben Roethlisberger opts out? I mean, like you have a guy who means a lot of value. Just take him away, and we saw what they were last year.
Yeah.
Tom Brady. I mean, any of these mega stars for some reason just feel that they want to be safe, play it the safe route, and that could completely take out a team of contention.
I mean, we're talking about look. You and I disagreed on this for a long time, and I know that. But from my perspective, the Patriots are still a contender in the NFL, and they just lost 6 pieces.
Yeah,
and that
two starters on defense.
They lost some depth on their offensive line. They lost one of their running backs. I mean, yeah. So I mean, does this take the Patriots out of contention? To me, no, because I believe in Bill Belichick. But in general, possibly.
Well, I mean, I believe in Belichick no matter what. And maybe they get $22 million in cap to kind of flirt around and see where they want to plug a little bit of stuff in.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys that aren't out there right now.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs were able to get Kelechi. That was a great signing to replace their guy.
Yeah, they were able to replace their guard with Kelechi Assuming. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But you got to think, everybody who's available right now in free agency is available for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
One reason or another. Granted, there's still 2 big names. Griffin and Clowney are still out there, and they're waiting for their payday. That's fine.
And Logan Ryan.
Logan Ryan. But everybody else, for the most part, are kind of no names, or probably going to fight for a roster spot if they're signed. And now man, this is tough. This sucks for football. It sucks because, like we said, the asterisk is going to be there. There's going to be bigger names. There's going to be more names. In terms of fantasy, which we talk about fantasy a lot in this podcast, go for depth. If you're drafting in fantasy, go for depth, because you do not know how this is going to affect. Players are going to go missing. Players are going to go,
Well, yeah, I mean, Zeke gets Zeke's already had it. Some star running back gets it. That's 3 weeks where the backup gets to step up and shine, and who knows if you have the handcuff. It's going to be a whole different way of strategy that you can play this. Mm-hmm. And I would rather play it than get beat by it. That's for sure. So be aware.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go get depth.
Do you think there's anything bigger happening here as far as, do you think this could affect the NFL season as a whole?
Baseball has a tough one right now because that's just what I equate to. NBA's killing it. NBA is a great running situation. They have 0 cases inside their bubble. It's going really good.
The NHL does too. That should be noted as well.
NHL's doing the same thing. They're doing really good. Baseball had it rough with the Miami Marlins. I believe last night they had 9 more players. I think
18 total.
So
basically their team.
Rob Manfred, the owner of the MLB, and said that unless a team is rendered non-competitive from how many people they lose, they're going to run it. So I think they're going to run it till they can't run it no more. But I could see, I mean, as long as this thing is prevalent, there are going to be players that get it, and then there is a chance where it could spread like wildfire and completely knock out a team. And what if 10 players get it? Yeah. 10 Cowboys get it, and then are you going to go play that week? Are you going to risk that team coming to play you and then spreading it.
But the other thing, with this, bring it back to baseball just for a second, because the Marlins played the Phillies.
Yes.
And then the Phillies had some COVID things. So the Marlins spread COVID to the Phillies.
And then you got to look at who the Phillies play.
Now who the Phillies are going to play. And then you can't let them play those games if there's a possibility for COVID. Granted, the baseball season's a little bit different in the terms of how many games they play in back-to-back. The NFL will have, you have a week to figure out if they have COVID. You know that if a player is playing on Sunday, they didn't have COVID on Friday.
Yes.
Right. So you get tested every day as a player. So you got tested on Friday, and then you got those results on Saturday. You didn't have COVID on Friday. You played on Sunday. There's a little bit of a window to get it, but it's smaller. Granted, there's going to be you travel, and there's a lot of different things that you got to work through.
It sounds like they're going to be able to catch it. It
They
sounds
should
like it's
be
like,
able
hey, you got it on Friday night, you're out.
The biggest danger is spreading it to other teams. And let's say, you're right, let's say an outbreak comes out with the Dallas Cowboys. If that happens in week 3, the Dallas Cowboys are essentially not going to be able to play competitive football in week 4 and probably week 5 as well, right?
Yeah.
Then they'll start to get their players back, and then they'll bring it back and whatever. But in week 4 and week 5, as long as they're not spreading it to other teams, as long as they're not spreading it to the Chiefs or the Giants or whatever it is, doesn't matter. We're good, right? Essentially, in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of football, these are young players. They're not going to die from COVID. I'm sorry, these ultra athletes are not going to die from COVID. I don't think
they'll be okay.
We're not worried about that. I mean, I'm not. I don't think anybody else is really. Obviously, the guys that opted out, they have some concerns, obviously, but I think most of them have concerns for their family, not specifically themselves. I think that's pretty true across the board. And then there's one, the doctor that wants to go help. But in general, I think it's going to be manageable. I think people are going to worry a lot over the next month because we're going to have a lot of cases. There's going to be bad news that comes out, and it's going to sound bad. But you guys, we have to keep a bigger picture on this. All right, it is what, July 30th as of posting this, July 28th as of recording this. There's going to be bad news. We have all of August and a little bit of September. There's going to be a lot of players. There's going to be big names that get COVID, and then they're going to be fine for the season. There's going to be entire teams that get knocked out and lose 2 weeks of practice, and it's going to suck. This season has an asterisk on it already. This year has an asterisk on it. I think we're all ready to end 2020 and just go to 2021, right? But I still believe the NFL season, the NFL is doing everything they can do. I've heard a lot of complaints, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I'm going to give mine first. I think the NFL is doing everything they can. I think the things that they put in place are actually good, and I think I'm in the minority. A lot of people think they should be doing more. I don't know how much more you can do, in the sense that this is a virus that you can't really control for. The entire population has been affected. They're putting procedures in place where you get tested every single day. You're doing what you can, short of canceling football season, which isn't going to happen. I'm sorry for those of you that maybe want that. Probably not listening to this podcast if you do. It's not going to happen. They're going to do everything they can to do sports, but we're watching the NBA, we're watching MLB, and we're about to be watching hockey start. So there's no reason the NFL can't do what they can to start. I think this is going to be okay. I do. I could be wrong, but I think this is going to be okay. I'll let you go.
No, I think it's good. I think the NFL gets a lot of lot of flack, a lot of shit, just because it's the NFL, because they're not the NBA or MLB and whatnot. Because I heard the players saying the hashtag "We Want to Play," and I wanted a little bit more. I wanted to hear the real insights, the real issues that they had with what the NFL was not doing. Are the players going so far as to say that they think the season should be canceled and they should get their full salary?
No.
Or are they saying, because I know there's a lot of stuff about not being able to jersey swap at the end, but go hit each other.
Shit, yeah.
That's pretty dumb. I see that, but that's trivial to a point where you're not going to not play over that. So I agree with you in saying that I think the NFL is doing everything in their power to where they can still keep football alive and still try to keep this pandemic under control. Yeah. At a certain point, what can you do?
Yeah, and granted, look, I wouldn't have been saying that last week. Last week, we didn't have all the information on what they're doing. Or, a week and a half ago, when those hashtags were going up, the players didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. The coaches didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't have anything to base anything on.
And their argument there is that the NFL's had a break. The NFL has had since March.
And listen, it should have happened sooner. But look, we all know, I get the rundown done about 15 minutes before Jacob comes over every week, and I think I do my best work on deadlines. I know you think the same thing. A lot of people, deadlines make things happen. That just is what it is. That's true for everywhere. I mean, so yeah, it's unfortunate that a multi-billion-dollar corporation had to wait till the last second to figure these things out. I also think
you got to wait to see how this thing pans out.
Exactly. It was a wait-and-see situation. I mean, the
United States is one of the only countries left in the world that is still having this.
Yeah,
ordeal.
And it's starting to pop back up in Europe a little bit and here and there. But I mean, this is what it is. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. When this thing first started, the NFL had every right to believe we're going to weather the storm and it'll be fine in September. A lot of us thought the same thing. I know I thought I'd be back in work in July and June. Here I am.
Yep.
So that just is what it is. We'll move on from the opt-outs and move slightly over to the reserve list. The COVID-19 reserve list, 24 players have been placed on the reserve list.
Means they got it, right?
Yeah, maybe. It doesn't...
COVID-like symptoms.
COVID-like... Well, it either means... Because... How do I explain this? All right, so we are not technically... Like, you don't have to give out your personal information as far as, like, your medical records and stuff. That's private information. So these players don't have to announce that they have COVID-19. But this is a reserve COVID list for people that were either exposed to people that had COVID or were diagnosed with COVID-19. You have to assume they probably have it. I mean, honestly, but it doesn't mean that. Either way, Justin Jefferson, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Cordell Tinkersley are the bigger names that were on it. And I know Cordell Tinkersley is just a cornerback for the Dolphins, a starting corner. So a lot of, there's other names on there, but for the most part, no big names have hit. A couple rookies there, obviously, with Justin Jefferson. We'll see what happens there. It just should be noted that the list you can be put on the list and brought out of the list at any point. So there's not like a 3-week minimum like we thought there was going to be at one time. You're going to be put on there, and then once you're healthy, you can go on. And there's no limit to the amount of players that can be on there. I mean, like I said, with the example I gave with Dallas, if Dallas's entire team gets COVID-19, they can be on the list for 2 weeks and then come off, and they'll be fine.
I'm wondering how it works with like Justin Jefferson's out. Say that they pull Adam Thielen catches it, and he's out for 2 weeks. Can the Vikings go out and get a free agent for just those 2 weeks until he's good to go? Or
you can.
So everything still works the same. Like
it
frees up a roster spot.
It does free up a roster spot. Yes, okay. Absolutely. So if you have to add somebody, you can. And honestly, look, this is going to be an opportunity for maybe not undrafted rookies because they're not going to really be able to keep up with the the intricacies. But I mean, there's definitely going to be an opportunity for these 4th and 5th year guys that didn't make a team that kind of fizzled out. They'll have another chance probably for at least a couple weeks. We're going to see a lot of guys from the XFL that are probably going to get a chance. I feel like I think that's definitely a possibility.
That's good too.
Yeah, but all right. Well, let's end the COVID talk. Unless you have anything else to add, I know I don't. We're good. We did about 20 minutes on COVID, so we'll move on. Raheem Mostert contract restructure. I was going to say extension. Restructured contract, added about a $250,000 signing bonus, and then they added a bunch of
they got him what he wanted.
Yeah, they got him a bunch of incentives. He could earn up to $5 million this season if he hits those markers, which I don't know exactly what they are. Doesn't really matter, but he got what he wanted, like you said. You like that?
Yeah, I like it. I think that he was so minimal of a. He was asking for so minimal.
Yeah,
you can make that work.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And then let's move on. Just a couple odds and ends, interesting stuff that happened around the NFL. I want to, as the NFL season starts to ramp up, there's going to be a lot more of this stuff where it's like just things I want people to be aware of, but maybe not like super, not huge talking points really. Quentin Dunbar and DeAndre Baker placed on commissioner exempt list. So those are the two corners that were involved in the altercation in Miami a couple weeks ago, which we've talked about at length. So that's no real surprise there. They're put on the commissioner exempt list. We're going to see what happens there. Adam Shaheen, the tight end for the Bears, who if you watched the Bears at all, you know that you got really excited when he scored a touchdown and then realized, that's Adam Shaheen. That's not my tight end on fantasy. He was traded to the Dolphins for a 6th round pick. The official, which I don't know if we talked about this last week. We didn't, because honestly, I had a feeling that something would change and maybe there would be a name that come out, and it was a joke.
This is crazy, isn't it?
This is for real. The Washington team is going to be the Washington football team. No new name change. That is it.
The entire 2020, they're going to be the Washington football team.
Yeah. Which everything else in the world's so weird enough. What does this matter?
Dwayne Haskins is the best quarterback in the Washington football team's history, though.
Am
I wrong?
I don't know. I think it's Alex Smith.
There's still a debate for it. Yeah.
And lastly, Ed Oliver was dismissed of all charges. No wrongdoing with the DWI that he was arrested for a few months ago in Houston. So that whole thing was a little bit more than a misunderstanding. But obviously, he put something on Twitter, which I actually retweeted. I thought it was pretty powerful stuff, basically saying that he was wrongly accused because there was a beer bottle in the car. I mean, that's
well, that sucks if that's true.
Yeah, that just, and granted, that's his side of the story, so we don't know. But yeah, anyway, so
either way, Buffalo's good to get him back.
Buffalo's good to go. Ed Oliver, no wrongdoing, so we're all good there. Injury update. We're going to do this every week. We're starting an injury update for all players as the season starts ramping up. We're going to talk about guys coming off of surgery, stuff like that. Just be aware of everything. It's going to be kind of fantasy relevant guys, and then big names on defense for the most part. But yeah, Deebo Samuel's the first one, is expected to miss games with the foot injury that was reported on about a month ago. He had an injury in Nashville running routes. He broke his foot.
So go get Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, exactly. So he was originally expected to be back for the beginning of the season. Not so anymore. He has not started running yet. So if he's not running, a month and a half before games are set to start?
Foot is something that you want to make sure that you are 100% on.
Yeah.
Don't go back at 80 or 85 because you just don't know how it's going to go.
And we know that with AJ Green. We've seen that. We've seen that happen many times. Bryce Love. I don't know why I said Young. Bryce Love is ready to go for Washington. That's the running back out of Stanford.
I love Bryce Love.
I was going to say,
when he was coming
out,
I love Bryce Love, man. He was up there for the Heisman consideration. He was a star. And then it was that argument where should you go play in a bowl game, should you not go play? Pretty sure he went and played, and this was the result. He tore his ACL.
Yeah.
And now we're here.
He's back, though. 4th-round pick for Washington 2 years ago. Hopefully he can be an impact. He's free in pretty much every fantasy lineup for the most part.
Darius Geis is good to go. Bryce Love is good to go. And you still have Adrian Peterson there.
Yeah.
It is a pretty solid running back by committee group right there.
Yeah, it really is, yeah. Sony Michel is uncertain for the start of training camp. Had foot surgery in May. Another running back, another issue with a foot here. So Sony Michel is going to be out. I think that makes Rex Burkhead a little bit more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The other running back that the Patriots have has opted out. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I think their 3rd or 4th string running back opted out. So yeah, interesting. The depth of the running back position for the Patriots is dwindling quickly.
Am I wrong to say, and hear me out, this is a little off topic, that the Patriots in the last 5 years have not drafted well?
No, I don't think you're wrong to say at all. Honestly, the Bill Belichick, if he gets crap for anything, is his drafting. I mean, he doesn't draft well pretty consistently. Especially
it's weird that because he is associated with being, and he is the greatest of all time when it comes to coaches.
Yeah.
But I think the way that they have been drafting lately, they haven't hit.
They haven't. They really haven't. And Sony Michel, we don't know. I know.
But that's the thing. There's a lot of we don't knows.
Yeah, we don't know. It's
know
injury. Yeah, like injury issues there. I agree.
Harry kind of in the same thing.
Yeah, I believe in Nikhil Harry. I'll be honest, though. I do believe in him. No, you're absolutely right, though. I couldn't agree more, honestly. Yeah, he's not a great draft. He's not a great drafter up to this point. Obviously, he's hit plenty, too. But, I mean, his skill set is taking guys from the NFL that are washed up and turning them into something. Yes. Like, I feel like that's what he does the best at. Cal Van Noy is a big one. Yeah, exactly. I absolutely agree. And then, lastly, Alex Smith, cleared to play football.
That's awesome.
Cleared for football activities. Will most likely compete in training camp. He's on the active PUP list, so there's still a couple issues there. But yeah, no, I mean, 2.5 years later?
It's a feel-good story. It really is. It was shocking to me to think that he would want to go back.
Yeah.
It just shows that he really loves the game, and that's something that you want, and you want him to do whatever makes him happy in life.
Yeah.
But when you have the thought of, some people said he could have lost his life.
Oh, he could have. Yeah. He absolutely could have.
Let alone his leg. And then the last thing you would ever think about was getting back out on the field, but he's here.
Yeah. Do you think he competes for a starting job?
Yes, I do. Alex Smith is a great quarterback.
He is.
He is.
He absolutely
He has gotten the most raw-dogged in many, many years of being a quarterback.
Replaced by Patrick Mahomes, replaced by what's his name?
Kaepernick. But he was at a 11-12 win season whenever he got hurt, and then was replaced by Cap. And then after that, here he is now.
Yeah. Crazy, insane.
I hope he does
career. I'm rooting for him. He's just one of those guys, and if Alex Smith is out there, then that's going to make Dwayne Haskins a lot better. I mean, I do believe that. I 100% believe that.
At the least takes away the pressure.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, so that is it for the news and notes section of the podcast. Let's move on to fantasy profile of the week, and we're going to start with yours right now.
Shotgun. Hands up. Just gets rid of this one to Waller with some room to run. Darren Waller exploding. Waller showing off his speed down the sideline. Waller tripped up at the 20. Will Parks.
Boom.
Boom.
Darren Waller. I'm telling you, he is elite. He belongs up there with the top tight ends in the National Football League. And fantasy-wise, he is an elite tight end for a lesser price tag. My argument is that he had 1,145 yards last year. That was second in the league among tight ends. 3 touchdown receptions. So not a lot of touchdowns right there. I'm hoping that'll improve going into this next year. Yeah. But 90 receptions, second, on 117 total targets. I mean, the dude is getting fed points.
Yeah.
He is just getting fed points. I think it is only going to increase. And it really helps out when his ADP is 5.10.
Yeah, you can get him in the 6th round in some leagues.
Yeah,
I mean,
think
that's
about
ridiculous.
it. George Kittle, I'm missing one. Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, those guys, 2nd to 3rd round guaranteed.
Yeah.
You can get one right here in the 5th or 6th possibly.
Yeah.
Who puts up arguably more points than some of them. And I think going into this next year, more points. I haven't projected it 1,050 yards next year, so he's going to fall off just a little bit on the yards, but he's going to have more touchdowns because I think adding Henry Ruggs takes away a few targets, but it might give him more meaningful red zone targets later on because their team's going to do better as a whole.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, 80 receptions on the year too.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's great. He's just a big slot receiver. That's what he is. We talk about tight ends as slot receivers. He is just the definition of that. I love Darren Waller, and I think you're absolutely right. 3 touchdowns. That's gonna regress to the mean, and what I mean by that is he's going to
get more.
Yeah, he's going to get more. Touchdowns are so hit and miss with receivers, especially. That's going to go up. I mean, you get 90 receptions, only 3 touchdowns. That's not the average by any means. 117 targets as a tight end on a team that's probably going to have to throw the ball to win a couple games here and there. I think that's a great one. That's a good observation of where he's being drafted and where he probably should be drafted.
It's the way that they use him. He was on the field among tight ends over 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So you're getting a guy who is an instant guaranteed tight end 1 no matter what.
Yeah.
In a league where it's kind of hard to find tight ends. You either have a really, really good one or you're punting it. And you're swapping them up all the time. Contested catch rate, 57.9%. That was first among all tight ends. That's better than George Kittle. That's better than Travis Kelce, who makes some incredible plays. If the red zone looks and the team as a whole does better, he should be right among the 6, 7, or 8 touchdowns like the rest of them usually have.
Nice. I love it. All right. I couldn't agree more with that. I don't think I have anything else to add. Do you have anything else?
No,
You're
go
good?
get him.
All right, so we'll move on to mine. I know I'm going to piss you off with this.
And here's a quarterback draw, and Kyler Murray will score. Cardinals get their first touchdown.
Kyler Murray.
Well, you hate him. He's your least favorite player in the NFL.
My gosh.
You think he is just absolute trash. You thought I remember you saying when he was going to be drafted first overall that he was the worst possible prospect of all time, and you thought he basically should just go to not even the major leagues, the minor leagues.
This is a load. This is a load. Just because I'm not on his dick doesn't mean I wish him to fail.
All right. No, for real though. Kyler Murray. This is a guy who last season on a absolute shit team. We can all agree on that, right? Terrible offense. Their receivers were not good. They were hurt. The ones that were good were hurt. Had very little of a running game to speak of. Put up 3,700 yards, 20 touchdowns. Oh, and another 500 yards rushing the ball. Look, I'm not saying he will be the best passer in the NFL next year. He absolutely will not be. Where his value starts is with running the football. He rushed for 544 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he was being held in. That was one of the clips of a rushing touchdown there that you just listened to. He was being reined in a lot last year. There was a lot of times where it looked like he was going to have, like, he looked like he could have run and he didn't. I expect his rushing production to increase significantly. I could easily see him in the 600 to 800 rushing yards range. That does not seem out of the question for me. I have him at 684 right now, but I think that can easily go up. As far as passing the ball, I think he's going to improve as a passer tenfold.
He needs to.
I disagree with that. I think he's going to improve his passing yards tenfold. I think he's an incredible passer. He has a great arm, and he
touchdown ratio ratio was bad.
His touchdown ratio was bad, 20-12. He was on a terrible team, and he was a rookie. This year, it's going to be a lot better. I think he's going to get 32 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, and 4,600 passing yards. I know, I am bullish.
That's a great year.
I am bullish on this player. I think he's going to be a top 3 fantasy quarterback. I don't have his ATP right up, but when I looked it up, it was in the 5th to 6th round range, I believe. He's going to be a lot better than that, in my opinion. I think he is. I think he has the value of a top 3 fantasy quarterback, and you can get him in middle rounds. That is an A+. Let's talk about his passing, though, right? We all know he got DeAndre Hopkins. That's gonna help him out a lot, I believe. This is a guy whose average separation of target was 1.31 yards, right? So he didn't have the best opportunities. Small windows. That was the third worst in the league, by the way. He threw the third most money throws with 26, just behind Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. And what money throws are essentially defined as critical throws and clutch moments, right? So I think he has that clutch factor just in his genes. I do believe that. I know you might disagree with that. I believe it.
I hate you so much.
I'm just trying, because I know you're gonna push back on this. I'm bullish on this player. I think everything about the Cardinals this year is set up for success in the passing game specifically. I think the team as a whole is going to be better. And the thing that I like the most has nothing to do with Kyler Murray. The thing that I like the most is that Cliff Kingsbury showed last year he was willing to adjust his offense, right? If you go and look at the first 4 games versus the next 4 games versus the next 4 games, you see that he was constantly trying to improve the way they called plays, the position groups. They did everything they could to win and get better throughout the year, and they did get better throughout the year. All right, this is a team that wasn't good at the beginning of the season and got better as the season went on. I think that's going to continue. I wasn't a big believer in Cliff Kingsbury this time last year. I'm a little bit of a believer now, a little bit. I'm a huge believer in Kyler Murray going into the second season. I think we're going to see huge improvements and possibly an MVP caliber season.
Wow, MVP caliber season.
Possibly.
Is this the same type of MVP that he got whenever he won the Rookie of the Year when he didn't really deserve Rookie of the Year?
Possibly.
Yeah, that's the thing. No, Kyler. I like Kyler the quarterback. I don't like some of his personality traits just in general. Just rubs me the wrong way. But I think he's gonna have a better year. The team is getting better, and Cliff did show the ability to swap it up and run from more of a run and gun system to running the ball more power style, and then that was able to help Kyler with Kenyon Drake coming onto the scene.
I think Kenyon Drake's going to be a big help as well.
Kenyon Drake's going to help him out a lot. I want to see them do well. I think 4,600 is very ambitious. That is a big step up. 32 touchdowns is a way bigger step up, just because that means that the Cardinals are in a lot of football games.
Cardinals are going to be good this year. I'm saying it right now.
When you say good, what do you mean good?
I think they can get the 7th playoff spot.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy good. Yeah. I don't think they can smell 8 wins.
I was not saying this at this time, 3 or 4 months ago. Granted, I have done a lot of research on the Cardinals. I've done a lot of research on Kyler Murray. I believe in him, man. I'm sold. I really am.
Yeah.
They have a tough schedule. They have a tough division. I could be wrong on the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win their division by any means. Look, they could be fourth in their division and be a good team. That's the absolute fact.
And that's okay.
They can put up these.
But record-wise, it won't show.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I agree. I'll concede that putting them in the playoffs is a little bit of a reach. I do believe that can happen. I think that is their ceiling by all accounts. But the fact that they have to play the Rams twice, the 49ers twice, and the Seahawks twice, yeah, that could stop them from getting to the playoffs. That absolutely could. But that doesn't mean that this type of production that I'm putting out there is impossible. I still think that this type of production can happen. They can be a really good team and still be the 4th team in their division because their division is that loaded.
I think he's very capable. I think he was very fortunate to come out in a year where there weren't that many other great quarterbacks mentioned in the same breath.
I get that, but he was drafted.
He was QB3 coming out this year.
He was drafted by a team that already had a quarterback.
Okay.
So I mean, I get what you're saying.
That's not a Cardinal. That's a Cliff choice. That
was a Cliff choice. Absolutely.
That is solely a Cliff inheriting that team and saying, "I want my guy alone."
I mean, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with you on that. I don't think. I just think he's going to be really good. I saw enough last year to move wherever he would have been drafted this year, wherever whether or not he deserved to be the first pick in the draft. I think it's a good marriage between Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, and I think it's going to produce some real production this year.
That's good. Better offense. So, I mean, like I said it a long time ago, I'd be fighting a losing battle because the kid is so exciting to watch, too.
Super exciting.
You don't want to be against that. I mean, he's a great playmaker and everything. But top 3 quarterback fantasy-wise.
Yeah, I think so.
Pat Mahomes, Lamar, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen.
I don't have all my rankings right now, so I can't tell you exactly where they are. When I do, we'll have a full episode talking about it. I would think it'll be Pat Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Lamar in that order.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big. Yeah. I will let that just be the last thing on it because that's
huge. Oh, I'm gonna get shit for that. That's fine.
I'm
excited about it.
I like it.
Either way, look, even if you're not as bullish as me, as far as from a fantasy standpoint,
he's
being way underdrafted. You should draft him to be your QB1, and you should be excited to start him every single week. He will have that kind of value, whether or not he has the MVP season. Fine, I'm bullish. I'm excited.
When it comes to rushing the ball as a quarterback,
that's where the value starts.
Yes, that is great fantasy value.
Listen, I could be totally off on the MVP thing. That's just something I think is in the realm of possibility. But it's certainly a reach. As far as fantasy value, there is no doubt that he will be very valuable as a running quarterback on a better team.
Anyone who runs is just you get that extra. It's 6 points compared to a 4-point passing touchdown.
Exactly. Yeah, it's 1 point for every 10 yards versus 1 point for every 25 yards. I mean, that's just a huge difference. All right, we'll move on from that, and now we have to talk about the meat of the show. We get into about 40 minutes in. Totally fine. We have the Big Ten rundown. We are going to be talking about every single team in the Big Ten. Where do you want to start? Because this is your realm.
Well, let's start with the East, and then we'll start at the bottom and work our way 7 up through 1. So, with that being said, I will start out with a very promising team, a perennial dumpster fire. Promising. They're going the right. It is Rutgers. I think Rutgers, by hiring Greg Schiano, a lot of people hate him. A lot of people don't like him because he was associated with Ohio State and kind of the Urban Meyer bullcrap story that came out a long time ago. Either way, he is a great defensive-minded coach, and he is on a team that hasn't been relevant in I can't name how long. I think the best player to ever come out of there is Devin McCourty.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. I'd have to go looking at that. Don't quote me on that. Either way, they're the punching bag of the East. They are constantly getting beat up on. And in order to getting Schiano is the first step into getting a good recruiting class, starting to get better players. Next thing you know, your goal is to upset one of these big dogs. Yeah. Iowa to them is a big dog. Yeah. Any of the Indiana, of these guys are big. I'm not talking about going to knock off Ohio State. That's going to take years. But in doing so, it's going to be bad this year. It's going to be really bad. But you're going in the right direction. Yeah. I like it.
This is a team that finished 2-10 last year, 0-9 in the Big Ten. They scored 67 points in those 10 games they lost. They played 12 all year. They scored 67 points. That's less than a touchdown per game. They finished second to last in total yards and scoring. You said dumpster fire. I mean, you couldn't have said it better. It's Greg Schiano, going into his first year, he spent 11 years with Rutgers before and had a pretty even. I think it was 68 and 67 in those years. So he's familiar with the program. I think this is obviously the floor for what Rutgers can be. The ceiling, we'll see. I think Greg Schiano, you're right. They have a chance. I wouldn't expect anything this year. With it just being Big Ten play, I don't expect them to win a game.
Oh, that is way worse. They're going to be getting the shit kicked out of them in Big Ten play only, which it has come announced. Some of our numbers are a little off just because we, SEC-wise, and a lot of FCS schools are saying that they're open to play everything. So SEC-wise, schedule looks like it's going to remain the same. Big Ten, ACC, kind of up in the air, and we'll figure out about the Pac-12 as we go on.
Yeah.
But that leads us into our number 6, Michigan State. It's bad. It used to be really good. Mark D'Antonio was a really good coach who had them on top, but they had a lot of turmoil that came up in that program with the sexual assault charges and a lot of stuff coming over from gymnastics and just not a good vibe. He resigned out of nowhere, and in steps Mel Tucker. He is a one-year guy out of Colorado. Colorado was his first stepping stone. And then Michigan State said, come on with the big boys, and you're here. It's not going to be a good year. They are a great defensive team on paper. Offense, they have a lot of question marks. I don't really know exactly how it's going to go for them. And when you limit it to Big Ten play only, have fun beating up on maybe you might be able to catch a game against Maryland.
Yeah.
Rutgers, there you go.
Yeah.
But all in all, it used to be a team that was a powerhouse.
Listen, I'm actually. We talked about this because you did the rankings, and I told you where I disagreed here and there, and I thought that would be a good way to do the pod. Michigan State's one that I think you should be a little bit higher on.
I just can't.
They were 7-6 last season, 4-5 in the Big Ten. I think maybe whether or not that improves or not, but I think they can be even in the Big Ten. Granted, they're probably only going to play those 9 games. I think they'll.
I just don't see how though, because they used to be like, even when they had Connor Cook, they were going to Sugar Bowls and they were New Year's Six bowls. They are nowhere close. They might get a bowl game this year.
Listen, I look at the quarterback situation. I think they're going to be better. They're going to get Brian Lueck leaves. Excuse me. Rocky Lombardi struggled last season, but I believe in the sophomore Theo Day.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be their quarterback this season. Has the arm, has the athleticism.
See, that's the thing about him though, that is he just has all the numbers on paper.
Yeah.
And it's one of those when you actually get into the big time moments.
Of course.
Every single team has a guy out there who, on paper, this dude should be a stud.
But if you look at the rest of the rushing, they're returning 10 offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Excuse me, 10 offensive linemen that have started at least one game. They had a lot of injuries in 2018, 2019, so I think that impacted them significantly. Their sophomore running back, Elijah Collins, had a pretty good season last year. Got, I think, 4.5 yards per attempt. I think that's going to improve. I think they're going to be good, especially the offensive line can improve a little bit. They're going to have a little bit more experience. As far as a national ranking, in total defense, I mean, in the past 3 years, they posted number 18, number 7, and number 10, respectively, over the past 3 seasons. I'm actually a little bit higher on them than you are. I get what you're saying, new team, their coach kind of retires out of nowhere. This is a team that felt like they were going in the right direction last year. I think they can keep that going. I really do. And they're avoiding 2 huge games out of conference in Miami and BYU. That probably would have been tough. I think their record might be the same, but I don't think they're going down like you do.
The Big Ten is a really good conference. It's SEC,
certainly is.
And then you go Big Ten right after that because they have their big hitters.
Yeah.
Michigan State used to be a big hitter. They remind me of the Tennessee of the SEC.
Yeah.
Tennessee's getting there. Michigan State's got years to go. From where they used to be, you used to not be able to talk about the Big Ten without naming Michigan State. All the players that they were able to put out, the studs left and right.
Oh yeah.
It's not good.
It's definitely different.
And there's a lot of great defensive teams in the Big Ten. Iowa, Michigan State that kind of lack that true offensive production to be. You're
absolutely right. I'm not comparing them to what they used to be. I 100% understand that. I'm just saying, in terms of what Michigan State has been over the past 5-10 years, I think it can go up. I think it's going in the right direction. They're not going to be a superstar, and they're not going to. I'll put it this way: I think they have a small chance to upset a Wisconsin or something like that. I think that's their realm. They could upset.
It could happen.
They could upset a Michigan type of team.
It wouldn't surprise me, but they're going to have to get the work done. Now, you could start with the smaller matchup. Like, I have Maryland right here at 5.
Yeah.
I would listen to interchanging them, too.
Yeah.
Because that just
depends.
I would have,
yeah.
But I like Maryland a lot just because when it comes to the NFL, they put out a lot of talent. They get a lot of transfers.
Yeah.
Mike Locksley, second year going into it, he's a really good coach.
Yeah.
They're able to bring in talent in what you would think would be just swamped out by all these other Big Ten schools. The problem is just getting consistency. They can upset so-and-so any given week, but then they go out and play their FCS opponent and struggle, and then somehow it just doesn't add up. It's just consistency of what you got to find, and it's hard to find it whenever you're going to be in a Big Ten-only schedule.
Do you believe in Josh Jackson, their quarterback? He had a good start. He had a good start last year.
He's another. Yeah, well, I mean, they were one of the hottest teams in the country, I think.
Yeah, and just tapered off out of nowhere.
Week 5, they were nationally ranked, and then it just went downhill or something like. I can't remember.
Really fast, yeah. I mean, they finished the season 3-9, so it didn't end well.
It didn't even go to week 5 for them. So I mean, I don't know. It's hard. I love their uniforms a lot. I love the program.
What do you think about Josh Jackson?
Itself,
you don't believe in him?
No.
That's fine. That's totally fine. Look, I mean, he had glimpses, right?
Yes.
There's a ton of young up and coming talent, and look, we talk about it every year. It seems like Maryland puts out a skill position player every single season.
There's always somebody.
It seems like it, right? And this year, I think Chance Campbell, their linebacker, has a shot. I'm not sitting here saying they're going to be good. Maybe I'm just a little bit more optimistic about these smaller schools than you are in general. Mike Locksley going into his second season. Hopefully he can get a little bit better. I think they are really, really affected by this COVID stuff.
Yes.
And the fact that they're losing their spring training and they're losing a lot of things. They needed that because they had a lot of young guys.
Yeah, young guys.
They had
you
a
don't
lot
get
of
to
young
layer
guys.
your depth chart. You don't even get to assign your red shirts appropriately.
Yeah, and really, they were last in the Big Ten in total defense, pass defense, and opponents' first downs, and then pretty much next to last in a lot of other categories. Yeah. And if it weren't for Rutgers, they would have been last in the Big Ten.
Rutgers sets the floor. Everyone else goes off of that.
So the defense is going to be bad this year. The defense, I can't. There's nothing that points to them improving. Their offense is probably going to struggle. So I get it. They're not going to be good. But I always like watching Michigan because they're Maryland, because it seems like they're the team that upsets the big dog every once in a while, right? Like they had a chance to upset Ohio State a couple years ago in that really close game.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic to see what they can do. I like Josh
5
Jackson.
and Michigan State at 6. They have the same record.
Yeah.
I mean, I see them getting two Big Ten games total.
Really? You think Michigan State's going to fall off a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Totally fair.
They can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
If they have to cross over, they have to play Penn State. If they have to cross over and touch Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Iowa, I don't know. I just don't know how they're going to be laying out their schedule. I don't know who their crossover is off the top of my head. So
yeah. Fair.
I mean, it could get ugly.
Totally fair. Totally fair. We'll move on to Indiana. I'll let you take it over.
Indiana's exciting. You would never think that an Indiana football team, I would say, is 4th best in their division, but they are. Tom Allen is doing great things with the Hoosiers, and it really starts with their overall offensive play. They're getting better. They're getting more talent in. It used to be just a basketball school, but now they have actual quarterback controversy on campus. Peyton Ramsey was the quarterback last year. Didn't really work out for him. A lot of people believe in him with all this transfer. Some people said he's the best transfer that we saw go out last year, which another one be KJ Costello. But no, Peyton Ramsey's out. Michael Penix Jr., I believe, is the new guy that stepped up.
Yeah, he got hurt last year.
He got hurt last year. And that's where Peyton Ramsey got to play again.
But he started off really well, and he was played really well when he was healthy. 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,300, almost 1,400 yards. Yeah, I'm excited about Penix.
Well, there's a reason that they were able to sit Peyton Ramsey and let Ramsey come back up. And yes, he kind of saved their season in that. So you don't need Penix to go down this year at all, because Ramsey has moved on to Northwestern. There's other things that are going to play out. But if you have a healthy Penix, there's no reason they can't.
And I mean, and we're not even talking about Stevie Scott, who's their running back. I mean, we've seen 4 running backs enter the transfer portal that were supposed to be depth pieces for Indiana. They left because of Stevie Scott. I mean, this dude is going to be good. I mean, he's going to be one of those next 3rd or 4th round running backs that surprises a lot of people in the NFL. I believe. I'm really excited about him. This is a dude.
They have some really good receivers too.
They do have some good receivers. They have a good team. They have a good offense. I'm excited about it. Unfortunately, they did lose their offensive coordinator. So Kalen DeBoer was hired by Fresno State to be their head coach. So they hired from within to replace the offensive coordinator. I'm not sure who they hired. And then they also lost their strength coach to Alabama. So they lost some pieces. I believe the offensive coordinator Kellen DeBoer also brought over the special teams coordinator from Indiana. So they've had some coaching losses. But as far as players, as far as momentum, as for season on season, you have to think that this season could be better than last.
For sure. I think with the way Tom Allen's doing the program and stuff, like I said, I just can't say it enough. They're going, if they had a normal schedule, they haven't had 8-win seasons back-to-back years since, I think, the late 80s, if I'm right.
I didn't even know that. Yeah.
They struggle at that, being able to compete. I mean, at football, they're a basketball school normally.
Yeah.
But they're starting to go in the right direction here.
Nice. Anything else you want to say about Indiana?
No.
We're good? All right, let's get into the big 3. I hear Michigan comes in at number 3.
Right. Is the big 3?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let you take over here with Michigan.
Harbaugh's seat's hot.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's hot. It should be, because you can do your job. A lot of people equate Michigan to Auburn in the SEC.
Yep.
They're in kind of the same boat where you can win constant 8-9 win games, but you just can't beat your big rival.
Yeah.
Michigan, Ohio State, Auburn does a good job of getting past Bama every other year.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh, you have yet to do that.
And he's going into the 6th season. He's not beat Ohio State.
Got to be able to do that. I don't think they've touched Ohio State in 8 years.
Yeah.
That is a long time. Our buddy
Ridiculous.
Shane, huge Michigan fan, always gets into it with his family. Dude doesn't have a rock to stand on with this argument, and he's not going to have it this year either. I'm sorry. Michigan is going to be a good team.
Though I'm excited to see McCaffrey's brother.
Well, yeah, he should win the job. Dylan McCaffrey, he is very exciting to think. It is the McCaffrey genes. Their dad, Ed McCaffrey, was a killer receiver. Well, McCaffrey really should be able to take Michigan from where I thought. He can't be worse, right? No, Shea Patterson, whenever he got to Michigan, I said, watch out. That will get them over the hump.
Yeah.
He was ass.
It
It just didn't hit. He wasn't able to read an offense. Probably why Harbaugh's still able to have a job is because the fans were able to understand that.
What he's supposed to do.
Yeah, Shea is so bad.
Yeah.
McCaffrey's going to bring a spark to him. They have a really good defense. They always have a really good defense.
And that's not going to change. Unfortunately, they did lose 4 offensive linemen to the draft, so their offensive line isn't going to be as good. Defense finished 11th in the nation last year, like you said, allowed at less than 21 points per game. So yeah, their defense is going to be good, and they didn't lose a ton of pieces on defense. They lost some pieces, big programs like this are always going to lose pieces to the draft and stuff.
2 starters and then a third plug and play.
Yeah,
the point being
they
is
lost
that when
3
you have
of their top tacklers.
That's what it was. When you have a really good defense, you can manage a young quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
couldn't agree more. And they have a lot of talent in this team. Nico Collins, their wide receiver, should be somebody who should be watched.
He'll be a second round
Jalen Mayfield, their offensive tackle, their 5th offensive tackle that they had, actually stayed. He's going to be drafted next year probably.
He's a first round pick.
Honestly, yeah. Cameron McGorn, he's going to have a chance to get drafted. Ambry Thomas, I always screw up that name. Their cornerback, he's going to have a good shot to be in that middle round range. Look, these are good players. These are really good college players. I'm really excited to see what Michigan can do. I don't think they're going to compete with Ohio State though. I'll be honest, because
I don't either.
It's just a different conversation with Michigan. They're a really good football team. They're gonna win probably 6 or 7 Big Ten games.
Yeah.
And they'll be in the conversation. They'll be exciting. I don't think they're gonna get past Ohio State. And I don't really think they get past Penn State either.
No, Ohio State's on a different level when it comes to everything in this, and I think Penn State is right below them. Michigan's nipping on Penn State's heels, if that makes sense. So they got to get going. They got to get more consistent, and Jim Harbaugh has to get that monkey off his back and beat Ohio State soon.
Yeah,
I don't know how long it's going to take, but he's got to get something done soon because time's running out. And if they have this type of year that we predict, 6 wins in conference, that seat is ablaze. It's
you think
bad.
so?
Yes. I don't think they're going to get rid of him yet. I don't think you can because you gave him a 10-year such a huge money deal.
So who can bring them to the next level?
That's the point that I've tried to say. That's the thing that I've said time and time again. When you lose a coach, you have to have a guy already ready. Bob Stoops comes to mind. Just because he is a great coach that is out there.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would ever play at Michigan or coach at Michigan. I don't think he would coach
at Michigan either. I don't know why he would. He left such a good Oklahoma school. I don't know why he'd ever come back.
Exactly. So you have guys like that. If you don't have somebody lined up, what would happen? If Harbaugh comes available, he is a really, really good coach.
Really good coach, yeah.
Especially when it comes to getting kids to come play. I don't know how he hasn't gotten it pieced together yet, but an SEC job would open up.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. All right. We'll move on to Penn State, which is kind of probably obvious that we're going to talk about them next. I'll let you take over.
No, it's good. James Franklin, you're a really good coach. You somehow salvaged this program from the Jerry Sandusky horrible era that started to, come around for years. And you were able to make Happy Valley a happy place again. And that was a really good job in doing that just because it looks so – when they do a whiteout, it is one of the most intimidating, just atmospheres that you can get across college football. And I think that they're going to have a really good team. They have Baby Gronk on offense. Micah Parsons is top 5 linebacker going into next year's draft, and he stayed and hung around. So I'm hoping that they have just as good a chance to upset anyone as they ever could. They catch Ohio State at home.
Yeah. Are you worried about their wide receivers? Just for context for all you guys.
They did.
They obviously they lost KJ Hamler to the Broncos in the second round. They also lost their number 2 receiver transferred to Florida. That was Justin Shorter. He
was one of my favorite prospects coming out. He was monumental. So
that leaves them with Daniel George, who caught just 9 passes last year. That's their projected number 1 wide receiver. That's nerve-wracking to me.
They always have a good recruiting class. I know they brought people in. And the thing with Justin Shorter is he was on team last year, stepped away, just wasn't working out. It just was not gelling with the whole culture and everything. He was rumored that he was going to go to Rutgers for a minute. And I thought that would be a really good addition to them. And then I looked it up yesterday that he did end up going to Florida. So watch out, SEC. There's a good receiver going there. Yeah, Penn State's going to have to fix the problem there. Their offense involves a lot of dink and dunk with a good running back. And we've seen them have good running backs from Saquon to Miles Sanders. So it's next man up mentality.
And they should still have a good running back here.
Well, they're a really good team, and they could upset them all. I just think Ohio State's a different dog. It would take you would have to be on your best day. Ohio State would have to be on their worst day, and you could do it.
Yeah, and they did.
No one else is close though.
They did lose a lot of pieces. They lost 9 of their top 10 tacklers last season on defense. But they still obviously, like you said, had pieces. Pat Fairmouth is baby Gronk, I believe you said. Gronk. Yeah, so I mean he's going to be a baller. So that's a good pass catcher. Look, I'm not projecting Penn State to. Honestly, I could see them regress a little bit. I'll be honest.
There is a chance that they can beat Ohio State.
You think so?
Yes, there is a chance just because weird things happen at Happy Valley.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. All right, let's go to the big dog, numero uno.
How do you even talk about Ohio State?
Yeah, let's. I mean, where do you want to start?
That they will be a lock for a playoff spot.
Locked.
I mean, it is an absolute lock, as locks can get. Like I said, it would take them being on their absolute worst day. Justin Fields skipping breakfast 3 days in a row or something like that. And then it would also take a really good other team on their best day to dethrone Ohio State. That's just saying you can usually lose a game, too, and still make it to the college football playoff. Yeah. So they got a little bit of leeway, and they're only going to get better, and Justin Fields is ready to go.
So I have a couple questions because, I mean, look, so first of all, it should be mentioned, Ohio State lost a lot of pieces in secondary. Jeff Okudah, Damon Arnett, both first-round picks.
Well, Chase Young on the defensive line,
and Jordan Fuller. Yeah, but I was just saying secondary. So a team that's always been really good secondary, they're going to have a next up, man up mentality. So we'll see what happens there. I think Sean Wade is going to have to be a really big piece there.
He's a first-round pick.
Yeah, probably. Yes. Honestly, just another one. I mean, they're just a machine. They just put out first-round picks. Look, I look at this, and I have a couple questions for you. One, if Ryan Day lost one game, just a random game, does he lose his job?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Just with the amount of expectations that you're having?
I think the players, not the players, but some of the other coaches and stuff, his resume for Ryan Day, it speaks volumes. I mean, he got the job for a reason, and he knows what he's doing. Yeah. I think he's got it locked.
No, I absolutely agree. And I was just kind of curious what you thought. I'm going to tell you something that I think you're going to disagree with. I think a lot of people are going to disagree with. I am not on this Justin Fields bandwagon just yet.
Wow.
Look, I think he's a good player. He's a great college quarterback. I haven't watched him yet and said that's an NFL quarterback. That's an NFL first pick in the draft.
What?
Yeah, that's a top 10 pick. I've not seen that yet. Look, NFL quarterback, sure. I don't see a top 10 pick a shoo-in to be, up there kind of guy.
We saw Herbert and Tua go last year.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Look, I get it. I do get it. I'm not 100% sold. I'm not saying I can't be sold. I haven't done a deep dive into Justin Fields by any means, but I've watched a good bit, and nothing's ever popped off the screen for me yet.
I think he's a stud.
Yeah, he's good.
Trevor Lawrence is my QB1. Justin Fields is QB2. And then you have the Trey Lance, the one that I know minimal about that I need to do more research on. Yeah. He is out of I think it's North Dakota State. Yeah. They're putting out another big name.
I can see Tanner Morgan being
I like Tanner Morgan a lot,
I think Tanner Morgan's
is not even in the same sentence as Justin Fields when it comes to
I think he's in the same sentence. I do.
No, he is not.
I do. I think so, yeah.
People didn't know Tanner Morgan was until last year.
Yeah, well, I mean, we know him now.
No,
I'm just being honest. I knew you were going to disagree because I know how highly you've
Justin Fields is a
spoken
dog.
Of Justin Fields. And this is a fairly new thing that I've just kind of seen after watching a little bit of college film here and there. Yeah, I'm not 100% on it. I'm not saying. Look, I want to be very clear. I'm not giving you my. I'm not giving my rankings by any means, and I have not studied the quarterback. I could dive in and study him and say, oh, I'm totally wrong. He's great. But just based on what I've seen and what I've looked at, I'm not sold just yet.
In my mind, he's not as good as Trevor, but that is a fucking high bar.
It's a high bar. All right, we'll move on to
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Anywhere else you want to go with Ohio State? We'll move on to the East right now. All right, so we'll go back down to the bottom of the list with Illinois in the West here. Lovie
Fighting
Smith
Illini.
School.
They're rough. They're really rough.
Let's hear what you think.
I love Lovie Smith. Kind of one of those where did he go type of things after the Bears and all of his NFL stints. Yeah. Well, he ended up here, and he is realizing that it is a really hard thing to turn around right now. Not a good record. They're not doing that well.
Yeah. 6-7.
They're famous for upsetting Wisconsin, I believe, last season on the last-second field goal. Yep. That was super exciting. But I think last year they had a lot of stuff go in their favor. and that's what got them to that 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Expect them to regress a lot this year.
Yeah.
It's really bad. Their recruiting is in the late 80s.
Couldn't agree more. I will say 4 starters are returning on their offensive line, so that's good. Defense just disappeared completely. Which is weird because Lovie Smith is supposed to be a defensive-minded coach, and their defense just was not there at all last season. This is his fifth year with Illinois. He's 15-34 all time. Last year wasn't terrible. He was 6-7, 4-5 in the Big Ten. I don't expect a whole lot of production really. I will say Isaiah Williams should be set to be the starter at quarterback. He was a pretty highly touted recruit. Played in 4 games last year to preserve their red shirt, so hopefully he can come in, maybe turn something around. Maybe, I don't know. I don't see it, but I think we're kind of in the same boat there.
I think Illinois recognizes that they have a good name, they have a good coach who in time might be able to get them going.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things when, like Dabo at Clemson years and years ago, Clemson was the shit school of the 90s. I mean, they were really bad. It takes a great guy coming in there and investing time, and kids got to buy it.
Yeah.
And then you got to have so some would say that they could build off of last year. Some would say they could build off of a 4-5 in the Big Ten and that massive upset win. Yeah. I just see it going the other way most likely.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right. We'll move on to Northwestern.
Number 6.
Yeah, 6. They were 3-9 last year, 1-8 in the Big Ten. What do you think?
Last year was the floor.
Oh,
so, I mean,
they
were really, really, really bad. There wasn't a lot to be excited about.
Yeah.
I think the most exciting thing that came out of Northwestern was seeing the clips of their strength and conditioning coach. He's the big-ass buff dude that you see in the super small polo.
I got you, yeah.
That's pretty much the only thing you see out of there. Exciting news. They got Peyton Ramsey from, like we mentioned, Indiana transferring out. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there are some people that I've seen, because whenever I was researching them just to see where I'd put them in the rankings, someone had them high as 3 in their division. Someone had them at 4. I think they're going to be at 6, respectively. They're going to get 3 to 4 of their conference wins in. Mm-hmm. They might be able to upset somebody just by having a good quarterback, because Peyton Ramsey isn't great. He can win you games. He won't win you a lot of games, but the good part is that he won't lose you games. Yeah. He's a really good game manager quarterback who can, dink and dunk down the field.
What do you think about Pat Fitzgerald? Been there for 15 years, 99-79 record all time.
3-9. Had some good seasons.
They've had some good seasons, but a 3-9 overall record. If they do that again this year, is he on a hot seat or no?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
He's one of those guys who's been there a long time.
Well, he's a good coach. He's had him in the top 25 several times.
He has. And Northwestern isn't one of those teams where you lose your job for having a 3-9 season. All right. I will say offensively they average about 16 points a game. So that can go up. Least efficient passing game in the nation. Yeah, they were not good. Defense was able to finish 25th in the nation. So their defense is there. If their quarterback can come in, Peyton Ramsey, like you said, if he can come in and improve the offense and make them a little bit more efficient in the passing game, you can only go one way. They were last in passing efficiency last year, so it has to go up.
It won't be that bad.
Their defense is still pretty good, top 25, like I said. That shouldn't change a whole lot. I wouldn't expect them to fall off the map based on they haven't lost a whole lot of pieces there. So
they have a chance to upset somebody. But when I say upset, I'm not talking about.
You're talking about Nebraska,
Wisconsin. They have a chance to, if they beat Purdue or Nebraska, that'll be a big statement win for them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll move on to Nebraska here. 5-7 overall. This is going into the third season with Scott Frost, the guy who's supposed to turn Nebraska around. They were 3-6 in the Big Ten last year. What happened? Where are we going? Let's hear it.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
It just feels like year in, year out, this is the team that everyone says they're back. There's always one, because they have such a rich history. In the 90s, I think they took 3 championships in the 90s as a whole. They were the unit. They were the squad. They were the big old tough corn-fed boys. Yeah. And Scott Frost, after the UCF national championship, whatever you want to call it down there, took his whole squad. Well, they claim that.
Of course, yeah. No, I got you, yeah.
Moved them all to Nebraska, and I think it's going to take a while. Adrian Martinez is someone that your success kind of buzzes around and leans on, but he was a flash in the pan freshman year, and last year was really, really bad when it came to you would think that he would take that next step, like kind of how I imagine like a Bo Nix or someone else, freshman year, you had the it factor, but you didn't really on paper do that well. Then you want to see him start to get their actual pro mentality, their form gets a little better. He hasn't yet. Really exciting to watch. Other than that, Scott Frost has come out and denied that there's an actual QB battle, but spring training with that being out, there's no QB battle now.
It can't be, yeah.
There would have been.
Probably.
There would have
been. Yeah. It should be noted they did lose their top receiver, J.D. Spielman, transferred to Minnesota. So he's going to probably be in a better situation to up his draft stock. They're a good running team last year. They ran for over 200 yards per game, as a team. So hopefully if their quarterback can improve, there's some places they could go up. I don't know. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like they're going in the right direction.
Well, how long does Scott Frost have? He was a huge name, the biggest signing going to Nebraska whenever that happened.
Can you imagine Nebraska where's Nebraska going to go coaching-wise? I would think they're going to give him a leash. I would think they're going to give him 5 or 6 years, see if they can really turn it around.
Yeah.
Just because Nebraska, they haven't been good in a long time. I get it. I totally get it. But this year, look, I think we're going to see the fewest number of coach firings this year as opposed to any other year.
Because of COVID.
Yeah, because of COVID. Because there's an excuse for every single coach in college football, in the NFL, wherever, baseball, wherever you want to go. They have a really, really good excuse for why things didn't work out.
Yeah, you have small prep time. You really don't get to see how your roster shakes up.
Especially when you're a team like Nebraska that's supposed to be up and coming, or supposedly up and coming. They need to improve certain pieces. Well, you can't do that if you don't have training, if you don't have practices, and you have a significantly less this year.
I don't know how they're going to work it out with the Big Ten games and how many games they will play.
Yeah.
I think they'll be a bowl eligible team. So in a normal season, 6 wins.
Yeah. I think that's about right. They were 3-6 in the Big Ten.
I don't think that makes Nebraska fans happy though.
Yeah. They were 3-6 in the Big Ten last year. I could see them maybe making it to 4, depending on their schedule. But yeah, that's probably about it. All right, we'll move on.
Number 4, very exciting for me.
Yeah.
I know you don't like them as much as I do, but it's just because I see the pro talent on the team, and it's like they're gonna be in national news every single week just because of this one guy. Number 4, Purdue, Jeff Brom. You are an amazing coach. I love what you're doing at the Boilermakers, and you have Rondale Moore to throw to. I mean, is it can't be he's probably wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 for a lot of people. He is that damn good. He's going to be super exciting to watch. Anytime that you have that, doesn't really matter who your quarterback's going to be. You're going to find a way to get him the ball, and you're going to find a way to do what you do.
Yeah. No,
4th in the Big Ten.
Look, I actually do agree with that. I don't hate Purdue by any means. I hope it doesn't come across as I do. I thought, look, they were 4-8 last year, 3-6 in the Big Ten. I didn't see enough to think they were going to have a huge increase. I look at the Boilermakers. They led the Big Ten and was 12th in the nation in passing, averaging over 310 yards per game. Rondale Moore will look to have a bounce back year. Look, his 2018, he had 114 catches. Last year, it was 29 because of an ankle injury. Took him out. So he should be back and ready to go. 4 starters come back on the offensive line, so that's exciting. And they also got a UConn transfer, Tyler Coyle, safety, who's going to be being talked about in the NFL draft next year. He's a dude who plays all over the field in pretty much every position on the secondary. Had a huge season last year with UConn. I'm excited to see what Purdue can do. We'll see. I don't know. You think, what did you say? What was your prediction?
Based on a regular season, it would be 8 or 9. So, I mean, they might be able to get 4 or 5 of their games.
4 or 5.
Because the Big Ten West is weaker than the East as a whole.
Yeah, 5 and 4 in the Big Ten, that's not terrible, right?
No, that's good.
I think that's perfectly reasonable.
All in all, when you look at it, I hope that Jeff Brom stays. He is one of the hot commodity names that we always hear talked about.
Yeah.
And PJ Fleck is the other one about you never know if they're going to leave to that next level and make the jump. But where he's at right now, he's hitting it off. Yeah. He's doing good.
Love it. All right, Iowa, number 3.
Number 3 and number 2 and number 1, all of these guys can kind of get interchangeable as you wish.
You think so?
Yeah, because they all lost a lot of good starters and they all lost what they did really well. Yeah. Iowa being their offensive line.
Yeah.
They lost Tristan Wirfs. I mean, that can't be said enough. They have Alaric Jackson, who is, believe it or not, one of their only 4-year starters at left tackle because all the others are so damn good, they go straight to the pros. That's just how it works for them. They lost Nate Stanley, who NFL-wise was a 7th-round pick to the Vikings, but when you look at college quarterback-wise, was a really good college quarterback as a whole.
Yeah, he's a solid player, yeah.
They have 2 really good receivers that are in their junior and senior year. Hopefully they can help out whoever the new quarterback's going to be.
Yeah.
And one of the big things for Iowa is their defense. They lost a guy at each level. They lost a secondary. They lost A.J. Epinesa on the defensive line. I'm pretty sure a linebacker here or there.
Yeah.
So they're used to reloading though.
Yeah.
They always have to reload.
As far as defense, they have to replace 3 starters. On the defensive line, 1 at linebacker and 2 in the secondary.
Yeah. So there's room.
So there's room to grow. But yeah, you're right. They lost A.J. Epinesa, who was a huge piece. They lost some other pieces. The offensive line, look, they did lose Tristan Wirfs. I think it's going to be okay. They're bringing back a couple starters on the offensive line, so they'll be fine. Their offense is really what we need to worry about. 99th ranked offense in the league last year in the country, but it didn't matter. Their defense was so good. And they lost the running back that went to, I can't even remember where he went. But look, it's going to be okay. I think for Iowa fans, I'm excited for Iowa. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. I think they're gonna replace some pieces. I think 3 is about where I'd have them. I don't expect them to fall off a cliff like some people are expecting, though.
No, I don't think they will. I think we know what they do. We know what they're able to make. They make some of the best linemen on both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
they're a really physical team that will always hang in the game. And then something special happens at Iowa at home. They have the tradition where they look over and wave at the hospital across the street. I mean, it's just a really
super cool,
good. Gets people just hype.
Yeah, no,
it's
absolutely
nice.
agree. Awesome. We'll move on to Wisconsin at number 2. Let's see what you think.
Give me crap.
Huh?
Give me crap for having Wisconsin at 2.
No, I like it.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm good with it.
I expected some heat.
Yeah, look, they were 10-4 last year, 7-2. Look, I get it. They lose Jonathan Taylor. Boo-hoo. Listen, they replace a running back every single year. Yeah. When it wasn't Jonathan Taylor, it was Melvin Gordon. I'm sure there was plenty of guys behind them. Their offensive line is going to be fine. They lost 3 starters on the O-line, and of course Jonathan Taylor. But in general, I think it's going to be okay. I think they're going to be able to replace them. Look, they're always replacing offensive linemen. I actually like the running back that's going to replace him. Nike Watson. He rushed for 331 yards and 2 touchdowns last season. Granted, he was in a backup role to Jonathan Taylor, but he got some playing time, and I think he'll have a chance to step up.
What do you think about them losing what they lost on defense too? They lost a few pieces.
They definitely lost a few pieces. They lost 18 of their top 20 tacklers.
Zach Bond, right?
Excuse me, no, or flip that. The 18 of their top 20 tacklers are expected to be back.
Okay.
So they did lose some pieces. Zach Bond was a huge loss, but I think overall their defense is going to be consistently fine. Zach Bond was like I said, a huge loss.
Yeah.
But in general, I'm excited. I think losing Quintez Cephas, their wide receiver.
I like Quintez.
Yeah, Quintez, he was good, so they lost him to the draft. But their number 2 receiver only caught 23 passes, so it can't get worse, right? It could, yeah, it probably will.
Well, we knew what they were last year. They were a strictly run the ball type of team.
That's what they are. Yeah,
play it safe.
Yeah, Kendrick Pryor is going to be thrust into a much bigger role, but that's okay. Jack Cohen, their quarterback, I'm actually really excited about. I think that's one of the bigger reasons I think they have a chance. He does need to step up, but he did hit 70% of his passes last year.
Yeah.
2,700 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 picks. That's a pretty okay season, and seems like there's a lot of room for growth. I don't hate Wisconsin here. Granted, look, they lost a lot of pieces. It seems like they should go in the other direction. But, man, as far as running back and offensive line, I'm never worried about Wisconsin replacing
Well, they always find a guy. But this could be the weird, awkward year where they have to wait for maybe their 4-star and Jalen Berger to step up, or they have to wait. The name will emerge, but it's not going to be week 1 right away.
Yeah.
So it's going to take them some growing room. Yeah. Still a great team in the Big Ten.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's finish it off. Last
Number
team we're going
1.
to talk about in the Big Ten, Minnesota, PJ Fleck. Man,
row your boat.
I was really hoping PJ Fleck would end up being a Florida Stater. I really wanted Florida State to attack PJ Fleck. He ends up staying. Going to be his 4th season with Minnesota. Do you think? And we always talk about this with coaches like PJ Fleck on a smaller team that just turn them around fully. Do you think he sticks with Minnesota and tries to turn Minnesota into a Clemson? The same way Debo Samuel.
I do, because there's been a lot of jobs that have opened up where
he said no.
It looks appealing, and he has said no.
Yeah.
And Minnesota has paid the guy. I mean, they want him to stay.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Minnesota, a possible college football playoff dark horse now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're talking they're a dark horse after losing their workhorse of a running back and Tyler Johnson, who is one of the best receivers that has ever come out of Minnesota.
But they do have Rashad Bateman, who probably going to be even more dangerous, averaging 20 yards per catch.
Well, then when you have a guy like Tanner Morgan throwing the ball, not as good as Justin Fields. He's
That's
not.
Fine. I never said he was. I said he's in the same conversation for me right now after not watching
Tanner
either
Morgan
of them that much.
is a good quarterback, and when it comes to this time next year around the draft buzz and stuff,
there'll be conversations.
He's going to be a name to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a name to know.
Yeah.
QB 4 or 5 as of now, and he can
totally
go
fair.
up from there.
Yeah. Look, I'm not sitting here just banging the table on any of these. It's way too early. I'm not doing a lot of draft work right now, so I'm not trying to get caught.
I think Justin Fields is good enough. We can bang the damn table.
I'm not ready to bang the table for him.
What about Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, of course, yeah. I've seen enough from Trevor Lawrence. Absolutely. That's just me. That's fine. We'll move back to Minnesota here. Look, Tanner Morgan's good. He's going to probably be drafted at some point, and he's a really good college quarterback no matter what. And look, they have a good football team. I'm excited about Muhammad Ibrahim, their running back.
The dude was a tank. He did Auburn dirty. One of the things with Minnesota is they have a problem putting teams away, though, because they doubled Auburn's yardage.
Yeah.
And Auburn was still in that game throughout the whole time. So, you got to really have that killer instinct and just turn on the gas and kill these teams, because if you hop up on Ohio State and you get that chance in the championship game,
you gotta
go
finish
for the throat. Don't give them a chance.
Gotta finish the game. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I absolutely agree. But look, this is a team 11-2 overall, 7-2 in the Big Ten. They could go up. I mean, they have an easy schedule. They should beat everybody in the West. I don't know who they play in the East, but I mean, man, they have a chance. They really do. They could be a dark horse. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see that story. I was rooting for Minnesota hard last season. We're gonna see what happens.
They do a really good job with PJ Fleck.
Yeah, they do.
He needs to stay.
All right, we'll move on. Now we're going to talk about wide receivers, NFL wide receivers. We're going to switch gears a little bit. Do you want to set up what started this whole conversation?
Yeah, we'll set it up. Right. We'll start with Keenan Allen being very, very pissed off from his Madden rating and from the NFL 100, because that's something that we're going to start talking about once we have more of the list.
Yeah.
He was ranked 77th.
Yeah.
And he felt very, very offended by that, tweeted out and said, I don't know who I pissed off.
Yeah.
Said that he is the best receiver in the AFC.
Look, he was ranked 9th in Madden rating at 91, which I thought was perfectly reasonable. I did. Look, whatever. I don't know.
Well, he specifically tagged Chris Godwin, the wrong Chris Godwin team. Yeah. He tagged some random dude.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, who was the other one? Mike Evans.
Yeah, he thinks he's better than all of them.
Tagged them and called them out on it.
Ridiculous. Look, Keenan Allen's always done that. I feel like he did the same thing last year when he was a little bit underrated last year for the top 100. Look, we have that, and then there was the Chris Sims rankings that came out, and he ranked the top 10 wide receivers. And Chris Sims is always divisive, but he puts a lot of time and work into it. I want to talk about both of them and see where we're at. This is like our final segment. Usually we do top fives. Instead, we're gonna do this. Let's start with the Madden rankings. At number 10, OBJ, 91 overall.
That's fair.
Totally fair.
I like OBJ. I think his talent proves more than that. Last year was a down year, though.
Yeah. Keenan Allen, 91 overall as well. We'll move on to Stephon Diggs at number 8, 92 overall. I think that's perfectly reasonable. You would agree with that, right? As a Vikings
I would rather have Odell than Stephon.
Yeah, I would too. I know I would too. But you got to think this ranking is based on production from last season. You know what I mean?
Yes, and Stephon is a great receiver. But if I could have Odell versus
I will say, look, Madden rankings are never what I truly believe. I think it's fair to have Stephon Diggs in the conversation, but you're right. OBJ is much better. Mike Evans being at 92 too. Mike Evans and Stephon Diggs are not on the same level in my opinion. Mike Evans is much better than Stephon Diggs in my opinion. Maybe people disagree with that, but he's sitting there at number 7. Amari Cooper at number 6. Amari Cooper and Mike Evans aren't in the same conversation, and especially shouldn't be ahead of Mike Evans.
I think Coop is one of those guys who could be a 89 or 90 in my book. He's a really good receiver, and consistency is the biggest thing that we see with him.
But he's inconsistent as hell, man.
And Mike Evans is a damn unsung superstar. Yeah. I think him and Keenan have a lot in common when it comes to they have that same type of. They're a wide receiver 1, and they are a damn good one at that. But they just don't get labeled as one sometimes.
Yeah. And Amari Cooper has that upside of being like a superstar. Keenan Allen just feels like he's a really good player. Don't get me wrong, but he's like a slot receiver type of guy who like he can't do some of the things that these other guys can do. He's not on that level at all.
I think his route running is top 3 in the league.
Absolutely, but he's not.
He is. Yeah. I mean, he's really good.
He's incredible, absolutely, and look. All these guys are really good, but we're splitting hairs a little bit. To say that you're better than Tyreek Hill, in my opinion, is just crazy. Tyreek Hill's ability with speed alone, his physical speed.
He chose the wrong one when he put Tyreek on that list.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. But we'll get back to the Madden list. Devontae Adams at number 5 and 94 overall. Are you okay with that?
Devontae's really good.
Devontae's really good. I think he should be a little lower.
I do think he is a product of Aaron Rodgers just a little bit.
We're going to talk about that a little bit more, so we'll put that on hold because I do agree with you, but there's something a little bit better we'll talk about in a second. At Tyreek Hill at number 4 here, 96 overall. Look, I'm fine with that. I really am. Tyreek Hill is a baller. I think Tyreek Hill should get credit for being one of the best wide receivers in the league, not just because he's fast, because he's really good at football in every sense of the word. I mean, look, his speed is what he uses, but it is a dangerous fucking weapon.
Yeah, he's good.
I mean, yeah. Julio Jones at 3.
Should be higher.
97 overall. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with him at 3. I am.
Did you hear about the anonymous poll that came out?
No.
I don't know how much you can take it weight-wise, but it was NFL scouts voted on who the best receiver was. Mm-hmm. And Julio picked up 50 votes out of the 80.
Yeah.
And he was the number one clear cut. No one else was there.
Listen, I'm fine with it on the Madden rankings because
Julio's
I understand.
Favorite.
I think Julio Jones is probably the best. I mean, he's getting into that conversation for one of the best to ever play the game. He really is. Julio Jones, look, for him to be as consistent as he's been, for him to play through as many injuries as he's played through, and to just be a baller, I mean, week in and week out, the way he plays football is incredible. He is more physically gifted than the other 2 players on this list. I will say that. He's more physically gifted.
Well, and think about it. You have Michael Thomas coming at Devontae Parker on Twitter. You have Keenan going at Tyreek, and Tyreek was so-and-so in this.
No one talks about Julio.
Sits back, and he knows he's sitting on the fucking throne.
Yeah, absolutely. But 97, and then DeAndre Hopkins is 98, and then, of course, Michael Thomas with in the 99 club. Yeah. With, look, we get why Michael Thomas got it.
Based on the year that he had, Michael Thomas deserved a 99.
Yeah, especially in Madden, absolutely. But Michael Thomas, he is a product of his team as well. I will say
you said it.
No, he is. I mean, look, you don't get 180-something targets if you're not a product of your team.
Yes.
You have Drew Brees throwing you the football. You have Sean Payton scheming up plays for you. Show me the play where Michael Thomas just out-physicals a corner and takes a ball 70 yards for a touchdown. That's what Julio Jones does pretty much on a weekly basis. Michael Thomas, amazing talent. Amazing talent, not taking anything away from him. Absolutely deserves to be on top 10 lists anywhere, no matter what team he played on. But playing for the Saints has helped him a lot. I think that's totally fair to say.
He is a great talent. There's a reason that he was not the number 1 receiver coming out in college.
Yeah.
He's a good physical possession style receiver, and what he does in the Saints, he is the number 1 at that on the Saints.
Absolutely.
I'll leave it at that.
And then DeAndre Hopkins, do we have anything to say? I think we both agree DeAndre Hopkins is awesome. I mean, he's a baller. 98 overall, I'm perfectly fine with.
Yeah.
Crazy that he was ever traded. All right, let's get to the Chris Sims rankings because I think this is really interesting. I think, look, he puts a lot into these kind of rankings, and he bases it solely on what he sees on film, and that is it. At number 10, he put Cortland Sutton on there. So just for everybody, listening, watching, there's Cortland Sutton. He put that on there, I think, mostly because I actually listened to the podcast last night, so I could have a little bit more context for what he was thinking. But he put that on there basically to say, Cortland Sutton is going to be a star in this league, and he truly believes there's going to be a breakout. He thinks he's a baller. To be the size that he's at and be able to, just run people over, there's a talent there.
He's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephon Diggs comes in at number 9. I think that's right where he belongs. He was number 9, I believe, he was number 8 in Madden, number 9 on the Chris Sims ranking. He'd probably be there in my book, somewhere between 12 and 8, somewhere in that ballpark. I feel like is where I would put Stephon Diggs.
Stephon and his route running and separation.
Baller.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Amari Cooper ends up on this list as well, and I was surprised by this. I'll be honest. If I made a top 10 wide receivers list, Amari Cooper wouldn't be on it. I don't think he would be. What would he be on for you?
Yeah, he'd be up there.
He would?
He would be on my top 10.
He has a lot of talent. He's not consistent enough for me to call him a top 10 receiver, in my personal opinion. He just disappears too much.
He does.
He disappears.
When he shows up, he really does hit. And I do think some of the reasons he disappears on the Cowboys isn't to Amari Cooper's fault. Mm-hmm. He did have the most drops on their team last year when you look at it, but he did get a lot of targets.
Yeah.
I think sometimes Dak is off. I think sometimes Zeke is hitting.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the Dallas Cowboys defense can overwhelm the other team's offense so much to where you just feed Zeke.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he walks away with 6 targets.
He gets game scripted out,
Yeah,
basically.
I mean, it just happens.
All right. Number 7, Chris Sims put A.J. Green there. Didn't account for injuries, really. Thinks he's going to come back and be a baller this year.
He's so good.
He's so good. Yeah, I think it really at 7 is accounting for injuries.
I've heard so many people just absolutely shit on him and forget the name that he is, because at one time, man,
Ridiculous.
it was Julio and A.J. Green.
Oh, yeah.
For number 1 receiver.
Absolutely. And look, maybe he never comes back to the guy he was, but maybe he does. And that's really where the conversation should start and end, I feel like. Odell Beckham at number 6, again. Look, he dealt with a lot of injuries last year as well. Odell Beckham, I know, I've listened to Chris Sims and back when it was Sims and Lefko, so I've listened to him talk for a long time. I know he feels very strongly that Odell Beckham is one of the best receivers in the league. So he was down at 6 because that just is what it is. That's injuries. That's production over the past couple of years. OBJ has I think I would rather have OBJ than even some of the other guys on this list coming up, just because of the upside of OBJ.
OBJ in the right system is
next level.
Fucking terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
And that's one of the reasons why the Browns get so much flack, because it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, right. At number 5, DeAndre Hopkins. What do you think?
Little low.
You think so?
Little low for where I would have a D-Hops. I think
Yeah.
D-Hops is, when it comes to like contested catch rate,
Yeah.
dude just goes up, and he's been doing it with ass quarterbacks other than Deshaun Watson.
So something that was brought up, and I didn't know this. So this is something that was brought up on the podcast I was listening, where they were talking about how his yak is very small. He doesn't get a lot of yards after catch.
Well, a lot of it's a 50-yard bomb that he catches.
Yeah, well, it was also talking about target of throw. He has a lot of it's lower than a lot of the other guys on this list. He catches the ball closer to the line of scrimmage than a lot of the other guys on this list. But he was just hyper targeted with Houston, and he thinks there's reason that he's maybe not in that top 3 and maybe in that top 5 conversation instead. I disagree with it. I'll be perfectly honest. I think DeAndre Hopkins is cemented in my top 3 as well. So I agree with you. But just to play a little bit of devil's advocate for why he was at number 5.
Julio, D-Hops, Michael Thomas. That's my 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think we both agree on that. I think for me, it would probably be Julio, Tyreek, Hops, and then Michael Thomas is probably how I would do it. Mike Evans comes in at number 4. I think we both agree.
That's high for a lot of Mike Evans.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I mean, I he doesn't do it based on numbers or anything like that. He just bases it on what he thinks. He thinks Mike Evans is a baller. So totally fair. I think he's a baller as well.
Tom Brady has a lot of weapons to use.
Yeah. I do, and look, I came out on this podcast and
more
said
than he's ever had.
Yeah, I came out on this podcast and said that he was the second best receiver on his own team. So that's where we disagree a little bit. But I like Mike Evans as well. I think he's a really good player.
Tom Brady's second best wide receiver to throw to ever.
Yeah, no.
Randy Moss being number 1.
I completely agree. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think you're right on that one. I guess technically I think he's 3rd, but I think they're both really good. I think this is the best receiving core he's ever had to throw to in general. Michael Thomas came in at number 3 on this list.
Michael Thomas is great. I have a little bit of disdain just because of the overuse of the slant.
Yeah,
like it's just seeing him,
Dude,
go at certain people and say you're really damn good, and you're good.
But he's helped out so, and we've already talked about this. But he's helped out so much by the scheme, so much by the routes he's ran. It's insane how much love Michael Thomas gets, and look, he's a baller. He deserves to be number 3 on the list. But there's a lot of guys in the NFL that could go in this position. I think most of the guys on this list could go in on this and take over that Michael Thomas role, and maybe not be as talented Michael Thomas. I'm not even saying they're as talented, but they could have the same kind of production.
Exactly. That's really what it comes down to. Call me bold. Devontae Parker, you put him in that exact same role where Drew Brees is getting to feed him as much.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas is better talented-wise than Devontae Parker, but numbers would be very close.
Yeah.
They would be very close.
Very much agree. Very much agree.
Michael Thomas is better.
Yeah.
But there are other guys who could fit into this same role and have a little bit less production, but it is still up there.
Julio Jones is number 2.
That's bold. Credit to the number 1 guy.
Yeah. Who do you think it is?
I saw it.
Oh, okay. Well,
and there's only one name missing. There's only one true name that's missing off this list.
All right. So Julio Jones comes in at number 2, and then Tyreek Hill comes at number 1.
Speed kills.
Speed kill. Look, and I couldn't agree more. Like, the way he explained it was just so clear. If you have a chance, go listen to that podcast. It was actually really good. Give us a like and subscribe first, though. But he talks about how, look, speed is the number 1 factor as far as skill, and he uses it to his advantage on every single route. He's a great route runner, a great wide receiver and all. But when you talk about a weapon, which is what a receiver is supposed to be, Tyreek Hill is the most dangerous weapon in the NFL. How does that not make him the best wide receiver in the NFL right now going into the 2021 season? It's an argument to be made. If you talk about receivers as a weapon, how is Tyreek Hill not considered the best weapon? I mean,
think about having the fastest wide receiver in the league with the guy who can fucking sling it literally 75 yards almost, 80 sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it's a perfect
match
marriage.
made in heaven.
It's a perfect marriage. And granted, a lot of this, it maybe if you're in a team that maybe you have a team that could utilize a Julio Jones better than a Tyreek Hill and vice versa. But Tyreek Hill in his situation right now in the NFL. Man, I mean, he's the perfect receiver. He's the number 1 receiver for the Chiefs. And if you have a team like the Chiefs that you're trying to build a team around, Tyreek Hill would be your top offensive weapon that you would want to have.
Well, notable guys that did not make the list, Chris Godwin. What do you say to that? Because I know you're really high on Chris Godwin.
Look, he hasn't made either list on this conversation. It's fair. I think he's going to have a blow-up year this year. A lot of the argument is Chris Godwin was helped out by Mike Evans, and that's totally reasonable, totally fair.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, to be totally fair, he was. I just think Chris Godwin is going to be really, really good. What's the other one?
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen was left off of this list. Another one that you're missing is Davante Adams. Yeah, that was the big one. That was the one that on Twitter and everything, it just blew up because Davante Adams was not on this top 10 list.
Tyler Lockett?
Tyler Lockett not on this list. Yeah, another one. Good conversation. Look, he actually talked 15. About that. He is. He actually talked about it. He said DK Metcalf would probably be ahead of Tyler Lockett.
Damn.
Yeah, so that's what he said. I mean, that's just one guy's opinion, and we're talking about it because it blew up on Twitter and it was a whole thing. So we wanted to talk about it and give our thoughts. I'd probably have DK ahead of him too, though.
I like DK. I think DK has more potential.
Yeah.
But
come right now this year.
Yeah, right now this year it's Tyler Lockett.
That's fair. That's totally fair. And look, Davante Adams, I think probably would have made this list over Courtland Sutton at number 10.
He just wanted you want to put a pin on who you think's going to be good.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are doing it on the Broncos this year because they look really promising.
He also said DJ Moore was another name that he considered putting on there.
I think
another breakout contender, the guys that are at the bottom end of this list, but that could, become superstars in the NFL very, very soon.
No T.Y. Hilton.
I think that's fair. T.Y. Hilton gets left on a lot of top 10 lists. You know what I mean? He's a top 20 guy.
But he always goes in round 2 or 3 in your fantasy league, so he is interchangeable with these names almost.
Oh yeah, no, I do agree. Look, I love T.Y. Hilton. I think injuries have hurt him a little bit. He's a tough career.
I'd rather have T.Y. than DK.
I wouldn't. For DK, yeah, I would take DK right now and at this point.
If we're looking at from a general manager standpoint, DK because of age and a lot of other things that go into that, which is injury based. But if you look at it, T.Y. Hilton is a really damn good receiver.
I'll say it. One year, regardless of contract or anything, I'd still probably take DK.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just me.
Yeah.
Look, I like T.Y. I'm a big fan of T.Y.
Doesn't sound like you like T.Y.
I'm just telling you, I think DK is a baller. I think DK is very close to getting into that next level of conversation as well.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, DeAndre, what do you think about Adams not being on the list?
It doesn't bother me as much. Davante Adams is a really good receiver. He should go above Courtland Sutton.
He should be he's a top 15 receiver, I think. I think he would be on the list in top 15.
He deserves to be above. He's better. I would rather have him over Amari Cooper or Courtland Sutton.
I'd rather have him. Honestly, he'd be number 7 probably on my list if I agreed with the top 6 of this list, which I pretty much do. They might be changed up a little bit, but at number 7, I think it would be Adams over AJ Green right now because
Aaron Rodgers is able to take Davante Adams to a next level.
Yeah.
But Davante Adams is a good receiver.
Absolutely. But I didn't agree with Amari Cooper being on the list. I know you did, and then Stephon Diggs I think is good, but I think Davante Adams is better. Yeah, and then Courtland Sutton I think we both agree. All right. We're good. Anywhere else you want to go with this?
I think we wrapped it.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Please, if you're on Apple Podcasts, if you're on any podcast app, rate, review. If you're on a different podcast app other than Apple Podcasts, just screenshot the rate, screenshot the review, send it to me at Between Pylons on Twitter, and I'll put your name in the hat to win this Barkley jersey.
Yeah, we want to give this away. We want there to be a ton of names.
Absolutely. Go on to YouTube, get in the comments, say you're here for the jersey. You will get entered in. just message me on Twitter. I've had a lot of people just message me on Twitter, say, hey, I'm interested in the jersey.
Yep.
That's fine. That's totally fine. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week, Thursday, every single week. Football season is amping up. We are here every single week with news, notes, conversations, all of that. All things football here between Pylons. Thanks so much, guys.
7.
Peace.